Hello ladies and gentlemen, we're back at another pub today on Hull Old Lane at 138 Old Lane, and it's the Colliers Arms. We'll look at the history of the pubs through its years, who owned it, as we'll show the landlords and landladies, and discovered it was also known as the Slack Inn. Because this was in a former colliery area of Chadderton. More on this lane later, because there's also another pub we need to cover on here, which none of you may know. So, from the earliest reference to the Colliers Arms comes from the writings of Warrbottom, the Oldham diarist, who noted in 1806 some villains broke in to the Slack Inn on Hull Lane near Hollingwood and made off with £72 in cash. Mr. Warrbottom also wrote down a list of Chadderton licensed houses, and in 1972, and as the Colliers Arms or the Slack Inn is not included, it would seem that the pub opened about, we'll just move you on to the next page, about the time the new engine pit was stunk in 1803. This would fit in with entry in Warrbottom's diary under the 14th of September 1809, when the goodman of the fire engine, commonly called the Slack Inn, near Hollingwood, was refused a licence. Yeah. Unfortunately,
Filming?
Yeah.
You filming?
Yeah.
It's a project?
Yeah.
What is it?
The new engine pit was stunk in 1803. This would fit in with entry of Warrbottom's diary under the 14th of September 1809, when goodman of the fire engine, commonly called the Slack Inn, near Hollingwood, was refused the licence. Unfortunately, Warrbottom did not record who subsequently granted the licence, but it was probably Richard Bowden, who was running the Colliers Arms by 1817. There was another Colliers Arms near the Chadderton boundary at Werneth, which Warrbottom says was kept by George Evans in 1814 and 1815, when his licence was refused, and Warrbottom didn't give a reason for the refusal, but it could have been because the land was affected by mining substance. Until 1810, this Colliers was kept by Abram Fletcher, who gave its name to Abram Meadow Pit, which was located below Suffolk Street and was filled in during the 1840s when it was in a dangerous state. His alehouse was earlier known as the Hat Inn 1770 and the Queen Hand 1775, and was listed under Chadderton as it was in 1778, 1780 to 1802, 1790 to 95. It was listed under Oldham in 1788, 89, 1796 to 99, and 1802. Richard Bowden ran the Colliers Arms, sometimes listed as a Slack Inn, on Old Lane, until about 1838, when his wife Helen took over. When the 1841 census were taken, Samuel and Sally, or Sarah Lees, were living there with their 5 young daughters, a domestic servant to help out. Ellen Bowden, now in her 70s, was living next door with her son Richard, a coal miner, his wife and child. The owner of the Colliers Arms at this time was James Lees. Then, by 1847, the joint owners were William, Samuel and John Lees. By 1854, the sole owner was William Lees. Samuel Lees and his family were still at the Colliers in 1851. The eldest daughter, Betty, was now a dressmaker, and Anne, Sarah and Kitty were the cotton workers. These three other children, Nancy, William and Samuel, were at school. And the latest addition to the family was Jane, aged 2. 10 years later, William and Samuel were farm workers and Jane was described as a servant. The older children appear to have left home. By 1871, Samuel Lees was dead, and his widow Sarah had the license. She was helped by Jane, now in her 20s, and living with them were William, employed as iron moulder, and Samuel, a labourer. Sarah was still running the pub in 1881 at the age of 74. William, now a manservant, was still there, and they had a young domestic servant called Anne Hascroft. Jebis Mills became the licensee of the Colliers in 1884, 3 years before the pub were purchased by the Oldham Brewery. And then 2 or 3 years after that, Samuel Lees Jr. came home and took over. The 1890 survey found the Colliers Arms to be in good condition, with accommodation for 2 travellers, stablings for 3 horses, and able to provide meals for up to 12 persons. 60 years before, Old Lane contained a few rows of minor cottages. But by 1890s, the Colliers Arms was in the area of cotton mills and rows of mill worker houses. The new engine colliery had long been abandoned, and its site was still mostly open, and the old coal workings were ventilated through the only other side, through a shaft in the yard of Acorn Mill. The only other sign of existence was in the name of a short street, Engine Street, across from the pub. So Engine Street is just up there where that like brown door is, but I'll take it up now on another video, so if you stay tuned, we'll show you now. Eventually, the cotton industry also went into decline. By the mid-1950s, the mills were on short time working, and by 1970s they were derelict, and at the Colliers Arms there were some major changes in 1969 when the pub was partly rebuilt and externally altered inside. Following year, Thomas Wooster took over after his old pub, the Black Cow on Burnley Lane, had been compulsory purchased, and he stayed until 1973. Fred Wiles, as much as travelled landlord in Oldham district, was next, and he followed Jane Cocker in 1975 and Ronald Williams in 1977. And last bit, just before we go, I'll finish this video up. There were more alterations in 1990s when the Colliers Arms were given a new roof, bay windows. Despite all the changes to the pub and to the district, the old nickname has endured, and the Colliers Arms is still known locally as the Slack. It now belongs to the Greenhouse. It went to the Greenhouse Pub Company, and the licensee since 1905 had been Harold Richards, and now the pub is under ownership of Punch Taverns. So that's everything on that one. The next video I'm going to do on here is the is a walk along Old Lane, pointing out some of the historical stuff down here, and another pub, what many of you don't know about. So if you want to find that out, subscribe to the channel, wait for a notification of a video, and it will be released soon. Thank you for watching this video on Howden Vaults. I've been your host Mike. I'll see you on the next one. Hello ladies and gentlemen, I've just forgot to put these on. These are the all pictures in this book of the Colliers Arms in 1999, when it was a greenhouse house, and on that picture it still had Golden Brewery sign in the top corner just up there, and pretty much nothing's really changed from there. And this is Colliers Arms in 1963. You can see it's not got any of its. It's had a bit of a change, hasn't it, since there? So yeah, that's the ones I just wanted to quickly show you before we off the Colliers Arms. I'll see you in a bit.